The Omnitrix is supposed to be designed to give you the best possible version of each alien species. The perfect specimen, the most powerful, the ultimate representative of its race. But there's a problem. Having the best DNA doesn't mean being the best alien. Throughout the universe, there are beings who have taken the abilities of those aliens to a level much more dangerous than Ben 10. Beings capable of destroying planets, warriors known throughout the galaxy, and even plumbers who took their abilities much further than Ben. Today, in this special ranking for the release of the new Ben 10 comic, I will show you the 14 aliens who humiliated, surpassed, and proved to be more powerful than Ben's own aliens. Malware is an alien who has far surpassed Upgrade. Even with a disadvantage, he is an incomplete galvanic mechamorph who fuses technology with his being.
Unlike others of his kind, Malware had the ability not only to imitate technology, but to make it a part of himself, but at a terrible price.
Upgrade has the ability to merge with objects to improve them, which we've seen on many occasions. Two of the most important times were when he upgraded Rex and an alien, although his specialty is machines.
Goodbye, losers.
Malware, on the other hand, receives updates that allow him to improve, turning him into an uncontrollable monster. What we see as a disadvantage for Malware is actually what makes him dangerous, since contact with any technological object makes him more powerful. His superiority over Upgrade was made very clear when he was able to easily defeat Way Big, one of Ben's most powerful aliens. If you're wondering how it happened, well, he actually committed genocide against his entire race. Vilgax is better than Gax. The Ben from the reboot was lucky to have one of the best aliens called Gax. And even though the abilities of this chimera were indeed put to use, they weren't even 50% as strong as his true form. And when it comes to Vilgax, there's not much to add. Vilgax is Vilgax, and no one is going to be better than Vilgax. Maltruant belongs to those aliens that we know are on another level. There's no doubt about everything this alien can do, and the superiority he has over Clockwork. Both are Chronosapien aliens who could destroy reality itself. Unfortunately for us, Maltruant is the final enemy in Ben 10 Omniverse, who has decided to go much further. When it comes to powers, we know that Clockwork's abilities are so great that he can reverse a Chronosapien bomb. As for Maltruant, we know that he is powerful enough to freeze an object or a person in space and time. These are actions that Clockwork can also perform, but only for a very limited time.
I sent him to the past right before he activated his Omnitrix, and I left him there, but it won't last.
Maltruant's power is so great that he seems to be an infinite being. Professor Paradox knows how dangerous this alien is, so he has decided to trap him in a time loop, where every time he loses, his parts are scattered throughout the multiverse. Now we've been lucky enough to witness the power of both aliens. It's worth noting that Clockwork was being powered up thanks to Ben 23's alien. In a clash of powers, Maltruant didn't even flinch. It became more than clear that this alien's abilities are far above those of Clockwork. Collar vs. Four Arms was one of the last confrontations we saw between these aliens. This is one of the easiest comparisons, but also somewhat debatable. Since Collar has proven to be an extremely strong Tetraman, the question is whether he's stronger than Four Arms, and let me tell you, he is. These two Tetramans faced off in a fight where Collar's power was clearly superior to Four Arms. It's worth noting that Four Arms' skills and techniques are far superior to Collar's, but he couldn't care less about that. If we're talking about a comparison between Tetramans, what matters here is strength. Now, as evidence that Collar is stronger than Four Arms, we have the episode from Ben 10 Ultimate Alien Basic Training, where this crazy Tetraman almost sent Four Arms into a sun or something like that. The fact is that it had to be decided like in a tug-of-war game, where literally Collar dragged Four Arms. 4 Arms needed help from Kevin Wayne and this red Buzz Lightyear to stop him. Even then, they almost fell into the sun. In the end, it took the help of 6 aliens to be able to stop Collar, a beast of a Tetraman. We got to see the best version of Ghostfreak in the original series, where the circus freaks were greatly surprised by the potential of this alien. One of the usual things Ben used to do with his enemies was neutralize them, but this time you could see that his potential was pushing the limits of what was allowed.
Something's wrong. I've never seen Ben like this before.
Strange things were happening deep down, since he was still Ben but was influenced by terror. The truth is, Ben never really knew how to take full advantage of this alien's abilities. We also got to see the best version of Terror in the original series, where he was at 100%. Frankus Strike was the main victim of all this. He was able to resist, but he didn't get very far. Terror is one of the best enemies of Ben 10, and although we have to admit that his strength was never hand-to-hand combat, manipulation and control over his enemies was definitely his strength.
I brought you back from extinction, Transil. I possess you for as long as I wish.
One of the most memorable acts was when Ghostfreak left Zombozo traumatized, but Terror has proven to be superior to Ben Tennyson, managing to control his own transformation and thus taking over Ben's body. In the next spot, we have a double comparison, Gray Matter and Azimuth and Brainstorm versus Dr. Psychobobs. As pillars, we have those who are possibly the most intelligent beings in the galaxy. Among the Galvans, we have the one who is truly the most intelligent being in 5 galaxies. His achievements or mistakes, however you want to see them, have made him worthy of this title, being the creator of the Omnitrix, the Sword of Ascalon, and several of the most powerful artifacts in the universe. It's true that Ben's Gray Matter is also an extremely intelligent being who has saved him many times, but the reality is that there's a huge gap compared to the Galvan Prodigy. When it comes to the Cerebrocrustaceans, there's a very important fact. Both Brainstorm and Dr. Psychobobs have been compared to Azimuth. Something that, when I think about it, I see as part of this species' ego.
Do you think you're smarter just because your head is bigger?
No, I'm smarter than you because my brain...
It's true that Cerebrocrustaceans have a much bigger brain than Galvans, but that doesn't necessarily mean it makes them more intelligent. Compared to them, Dr. Psychobob does turn out to be much smarter than Brainstorm. He has proven it by altering artifacts like the Omnitrix itself. He managed to add the ultimate function to the Predators. That's a big point for the saga. Additionally, he was able to unlock the Omnitrixes of Ben 10 and Ben 23 that had been frozen in time. If we think about it, we've never seen Brainstorm with any of these abilities, and that's because Cerebron has almost always been used as a fighter and not for his intelligence. One of the rare times he used his intelligence was maneuvering the Hybrid's ship, though that's really more skill than intelligence. We'll start by looking for the best version of Rad versus Amphibian. Rad is an Amperi fugitive from a Grieger whose abilities are on another level.
We are the masters of the electromagnetic spectrum. Your thoughts are electrical pulses. I can read them easily.
From reading minds to transforming and controlling electronic devices, Rad was like the Tetrax of the amphibians. Now, the best version of Amphibian we could find was in Ben 10 Omniverse when he tried to stop Phil. The weakest point where we saw Rad was when he lost his powers. Even so, his vast intelligence and leadership led him to plan an escape from Agrigor. Amphibian's worst moment was against the Jitre, where his fighting ability was put on full display and he ended up losing. As a fun fact, we saw this same alien showdown in Ultimate Alien, where Ben as Jitre faced Rad, in an extremely close fight where they reaffirmed to us that Rad is superior to Amphibian. Magistrate Padley Day versus Water Hazard. With this matchup, I actually had to think about it since most of the times we've seen Magistrate Padley Day, he's been portrayed as a goofball. But the episode about the Roots showed us his best version. The fish revealed his true form, living up to his title of Magistrate in a battle against Phil's mutation. Where, oh my, I was really surprised to see all his potential.
Don't act like you don't know who I am. I'm going to fry your brain.
And it's in battles, especially out of the water, that Magistrate Patalyday stands out more than Water Hazard. The best version of Water Hazard was seen in his debut in the original series, where he made very good use of the few seconds he spent out of the water. In this same episode called The Kraken, Ripjaw's performance really showed in the water. That's something Magistrate Patalyday hasn't done as well with. Personally, I think Magistrate Patalyde's level is still higher than Ripjaw's. His training with the plumbers made the difference. It's small, but enough to make him a superior alien. In this case, Pandor and NRG have benefited from being in their strongest forms. Pandor's case was quite dangerous since his true form affects other living beings. It's pure radiation that feeds on energy. We saw his best version when he absorbed the energy from a nuclear plant, causing him to literally become an unstoppable bomb.
They can't fight Pandor, he ate the uranium. He's a moving nuclear reactor.
For his part, the best version of NRG was when he ate the core of a machine to save a village. And even though he destroyed the machine and everything, I think he wasn't even half as powerful as NRG was. As an interesting fact, the unleashed version of NRG doesn't harm the environment or living beings because the Omnitrix provides him with a special suit. Talking about what he can do with the suit would be unnecessary, since it's pretty clear that Pandor's explosive version is much better than NRG. Regarding the Alpha Rune Turtles, it's an artifact that takes aliens to another level. With this power, Aswade was already able to dominate and enslave Layer Dome. He was even able to fight a Supreme Mongosaur, and I think that's already a lot. Unfortunately, Terraspin is used like a fan. Now, the mummy from the original series has benefited from the corrodium, which has really caused problems for Ben's aliens and the people around him, because it contains intense radiation that turns enemies into something like zombies. Although Ben hasn't disappointed when it comes to mummies, which has a very low corrodium level. Masaru the Spider Monkey is the clearest example. He is an arachnochimp. Due to his maturity, he has reached a form quite similar to that of an ultimate alien, being the only alien in the entire saga who could be close to his evolutionary form.
I am the sum total of every arachnochimp on the planet. I am your doom.
Being just a simple spider monkey, he has been able to face an entire legion of his own kind, defeating them easily. In a battle against Ben's spider monkey, he realized that with his base form, it would be impossible to stop him, accepting his superiority. The greatest proof of Masaru's power was when he faced his own ultimate form, where it was more than obvious that he wasn't at the level to be able to beat him, but he was able to face him. This spot is quite special since Tetrax is the only alien on this list whose superiority could be questioned. On one hand, Tetrax is one of the most important former bounty hunters in the galaxy, so his combat skills have made him one of the best. In the first confrontation against Ben, the gap between Diamond Head and Tetrax became more than clear. Here we should emphasize that Tetrax faced a Ben who had no knowledge about his aliens. But over time, Diamond Head managed to become one of the 5 aliens that Ben uses for almost everything. In fact, he has managed to do something that Tetrax has never been able to do, and that is to defeat Vilgax. The control and increase of power by Diamond Head is very noticeable. No one can deny it, but Tetrax has something that Ben is still working on, and that is knowledge. No one will ever know more about a Petrosapien than a Petrosapien himself. All the good and bad things that Tetrax has learned in his life as a bounty hunter make him the best. The clearest evidence of this is his last confrontation, where Kevin, Gwen, and Diamond Head were easily neutralized by Tetrax. When this Petrosapien focuses on his mission, it's very difficult for anything to stop him.
Stop, you're hurting him. That's why I'm really sorry.